Welcome to Hell House, LLC. This is a found footage / faux documentary film, and this basically focuses on a small group of people as they go around every year, every Halloween, making these kind of haunted house attractions where they hire out a building, do it up with lots of kind of like ghosts and ghoulies and blood and gore basically, and they scare the public. And we've seen a couple of movies like this before. Quite recently I reviewed The Houses That October Built, similar sort of thing. Like I said, this one's a found footage film, and the conceit here basically is that right at the beginning of the film we're told there was this big disaster come Halloween basically, and people died. And then we kind of backtrack, so to speak, and then we have a mixture of kind of interviews with people, kind of eyewitnesses, and then found footage basically that is recovered, and then kind of leading up to obviously that fateful night. And the film does go a little bit beyond that, and I'll come on to it. But so most of this film is kind of more or less the characters interacting, and they're setting up this house, and then weird things start to happen. We find out through the course of the movie that this house does have a bit of a dark past, and maybe some weird, genuine things have gone on. And then we have this kind of weird things start to happen. Now, is it props that they're just making? They're scaring themselves? Is it someone messing around, or is it genuinely spooky things happening? You have to watch the movie to find out. So what do I like about this movie? First of all, I thought this film genuinely is scary. It's a spooky film, and has a great kind of hits them like marks in regards to ambience, I think, and really delivers some kind of quite chilling moments that will genuinely kind of make you a little bit creeped out. And I think there are a couple of jump scares, but I feel they're earned, and there's some decent scary moments in it. So if you like to be kind of creeped out with films, I think you'll like this movie. If you're not a fan of found footage films, I don't think this will change your mind, because there is a lot of kind of whoa, shaky cam all over the place. But nonetheless, it's a decent found footage film if you like those kind of films. I thought the effects here were all quite good. You kind of have two levels of effects. You obviously have what is meant to be fake stuff within the haunted house, and you have the kind of the real things that happen as well. Most of that is somewhat obscured, but it does a decent enough effect. And I have to say the acting as well is all pretty good. The cast of unknowns here, I always think when you're making a found footage film, you don't really want to cast named actors. You're best off going with unknowns, and they do a good job here, giving you somewhat realistic performances, maybe with the exception of one person, but generally all pretty good. And the actual plot is intriguing. You kind of want to find out what happened in the house basically come Halloween. So, what are the negatives? Now, I've mentioned it's not a terrible performance, but I said there's a guy called Captain Alex who's meant to be the leader of this group of people, and I think he's written to be just a little bit too bull-headed and just kind of like leading the charge without kind of much disregard for his opinions of his friends and stuff. So his character, I felt, was maybe a little bit too singular focused, if you know what I mean, without kind of taking other people's considerations into effect, and I think that would happen. The other two things I would say is one tiny little nitpick, and it's more of a choice. So when you have basically people talking to the camera, much like I am here, sometimes you'll have this negative space right here basically, and you just know that because they kind of left that space there, then something's going to happen within this area. So some of the way the framing works, it just makes it a little obvious, like something's going to happen in just this moment. Just wait for it, basically. So some of the framing's a little obvious for a found footage film. Obviously, if it's meant to be something that is genuine, you wouldn't frame it just so you could have something appear right here. So that's my little minor gripe. And the only other kind of slightly bigger one is when we actually get to the disaster that happens at Halloween night. You really can't see anything. That's such a kind of it's all in the dark with strobes and then shaky cam. You'll be looking at the ceiling and the floor for the most part. You can't see sod all, except for maybe a couple of flashes of images, basically. And it's a shame because I feel the rest of the film really delivers on this kind of slow but kind of creepy pace. And then basically, because of the conceit of using found footage, people are just running around and you just can't see what's going on, which is disappointing because you're very invested to this point about what's going on and stuff like that. Now, you do see a couple of things that you can kind of make out, but to me it was frustrating because I kind of want to see what's happened. You're buying into the story so far, and then it kind of just you don't really see that much. The story does go slightly beyond this kind of disaster, really. So you do have a little bit of kind of more film to go after that, and it kind of has a little bit of a twist. It's just, it's kind of good. But overall, I have to say, despite a couple of misgivings, I enjoyed this film. I thought there were some fantastic creepy moments, real cool like little set pieces. Regarding especially a clown, I think is probably the freakiest thing there. Very well staged. But there are some pretty scary images there. And good use of kind of audio effects and the kind of the subtle music and stuff like that. So that was all good. I actually quite enjoyed this movie. I'm going to give this movie a 7.5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me comments. And I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.